Right guys, it is that time of the week again and we are back for our championship score predictions. Now I must admit this next game week is a little bit muddled, so let me talk you through it first of all. We've got one game going on in the championship tonight, so you have to be quick with getting your score prediction in for that game. And then we've got the other matches which have been spread out over 4 days, from Saturday to Wednesday next week. All of those games will be included in the prediction video today, and in the second half of the video we'll also be going to be previewing the FA Cup games which feature a championship side, so there's plenty of football for us to be talking about today. Before we get into any of the FA Cup action though, let's talk about these upcoming championship games. Starting out with tonight's fixture, we're heading to Ellen Road for Leeds up against Norwich. Now I obviously got to see Leeds over the weekend against my side North End, and I think we made them work for it, but Leeds at Ellen Road this season are just absolutely inevitable, aren't they? Yet to lose at home this season. They've picked up 34 points from the 14 home matches they've had. It was a late penalty against North End which ended up winning that game. I know Ryan Lowe had a few complaints about that one afterwards, but I think it was a penalty, and given the chances that Leeds had crafted out and the pressure they were exerting on that North End backline towards the end, I think it was a deserved win after the 90-minute mark. Now suddenly this game against Norwich does look actually quite tricky. This has been a portion of the season where I've actually been quite impressed with Norwich recently. I was predicting a little bit of a drop off from them given the difficulty of their fixtures recently, but the fact they've taken 7 points from games against Southampton, Hull and last time West Brom is really impressive from Norwich. They've come through those tests against fellow promotion challengers. With that being said, this game against Leeds at Ellen Road may be one step too far. Both teams are in action in the FA Cup over the weekend as well, so we will be previewing those matches in the second half of this video. But in terms of this meeting in the Championship, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leeds victory. Do fancy them for that game. Next up we head to the Den for Millwall up against Preston. Both sides looking to bounce back from defeats over the weekend. Preston losing against Leeds. I actually thought we put in a fairly decent performance in that game. It was just maybe a few tweaks in that second half ended up costing us, going too defensive towards the end to try and hold out for the point, and obviously led to making the mistake by sticking his arm out, and Leeds capitalised on it with a late penalty. We're going up against the Millwall side who have been a little bit iffy of late. It is back-to-back losses for Millwall, pretty under par over the weekend against QPR as well. Now recent history definitely favours Millwall in this fixture. In Millwall's last 9 meetings with North End, they are unbeaten. We drew in the meeting between us earlier in the season at Deepdale. I wouldn't be too surprised to see this game heading in a similar direction. I'm hopeful from a North End point of view that we're going to be quite proactive in our performance here. We're not going to come on all defensive, but I've got a feeling that this one could be a little bit cagey. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between these two. After that we head to the Stadium of Light for Sunderland up against Stoke, and I really think that Stoke have got an opportunity here to play a Sunderland side that have been out of form of late, and especially if they take the lead early on in this game, that stadium could become a little bit toxic. There is a dissatisfaction right now with Mick Beale given the slow start that he's made to life at Sunderland, and that was really emphasised by that loss last time out against Hull. In terms of Stoke, they're looking to bounce back from a defeat last time against Birmingham. With that being said, the performance actually looked pretty good from Stoke, had quite a bit of control over that game, over 20 shots. It was just some wayward finishing that let them down in the end, and Blues taking their chances. But if that's the template for them going forward, you'd certainly think they're going to win more matches than they will lose. Thinking back to the last time Stoke travelled to the Stadium of Light, what an away day that looked like. I think they put 5 goals past them last season, didn't they? And do you know what? I think I fancy an away win in this game here. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-1 Stoke, which would really pile the pressure on Beale. And then to Sunday, we have a huge relegation showdown between QPR and Huddersfield. Now, the real motivation for QPR going into this fixture is if they win, they will leapfrog Huddersfield in the league table. They're 3 points behind right now, but with a superior goal difference. And on the back of that Millwall performance last time out, I think a few people may be giving QPR the edge in this one. Now, it is a real rarity where a championship side will get the opportunity to play 4 consecutive home matches, but QPR have got that chance right here because of how the fixtures have fallen. Now, I do still have a question over their consistency. We mentioned in the loss against Watford that they probably could have got something from that game. They followed it up with a performance against Millwall, but that was their first win in their last 8 matches. Huddersfield themselves have struggled to find much consistency either. Up until this point, they've just about kept QPR at arm's length, but this is the real sink or swim moment for Darren Moore's men, and if they do fall into the bottom 3, suddenly once you start playing catch up, it becomes a different ball game entirely. I felt it was a bit of a missed opportunity for them last time out against Rovers. They drew 1 apiece. This is another huge opportunity here, but honestly, I mean, a draw wouldn't surprise me. We've seen a lot of these head-to-heads end level between relegation candidates, but I think I'm just edging it towards QPR, you know. With the home crowd behind them in a game of this magnitude, I'm going to go 1-0 QPR, which will be a statement result in the relegation fight. Next up, we then go to Coventry up against Bristol City. Now, this game is taking place next Tuesday, so there is still quite a bit of time before these two will face off against each other, but it just so happened to be how the fixtures fell in this game week that we're predicting this one a week early. Also worth flagging up that both Coventry and Bristol City will play in the FA Cup before they meet each other in this fixture. We'll discuss those FA Cup ties in the second half of the video, so quite a bit could change still between now and then in terms of injuries, potential fitness issues as well, but we'll try our best to try and preview this one in the meantime anyway. I think most people will have Coventry down as the favourites for this fixture. They're currently on the 2nd longest unbeaten run in the Championship. Only Southampton boast a superior record at this point in time, having the home edge for this one as well. And you'd probably say with Bristol City having a trickier tie coming up in the FA Cup, Bristol City are playing Nottingham Forest, where Coventry are playing Sheffield Wednesday. Just feel like Cov maybe a little bit fresher for this tie as well. So score prediction, I'm going to go 2-1 Coventry in this game and back the good run to continue. Next up, we then go to Leicester up against Swansea. Now, the same drill with this fixture as well. Both Leicester and Swansea will play in the FA Cup before they meet each other in this fixture for the Championship. So if you do want to hold back on your predictions for this game, then feel free to go ahead and do so. Swansea could have a slight edge by the fact that they play in the FA Cup on Thursday, whereas Leicester play on Saturday, so Swansea will get those extra few days of recovery. With that being said, I think it is still the Foxes who come into this game as the overwhelming favourites. Now, Leicester looking to bounce back and get back to winning ways in this one. It was history repeating itself on Monday night as they got themselves into that leading position against Ipswich, only for the Tractor Boys to fight their way back into it in the last minute and salvage a point. Swansea have been improving lately, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them getting a goal in this one, but for me, score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 to the Foxes and back them for a professional performance and to get the job done there. Then to finish things off for the Championship section of this video, we have Sheffield Wednesday going up against Watford. This fixture will take place next Wednesday, so still quite a bit of time before this game takes place, but an interesting matchup nonetheless. Now, Sheff Wednesday will be watching the QPR against Huddersfield clash quite closely, I'm sure, and depending on what happens in that game, Wednesday really could have an opportunity here to build some momentum and close the gap once again on a side or two above them. This game won't be easy. It's up against a Watford side who have been very consistent of late. They've only lost 3 of their last 17 matches. Both sides are in FA Cup action over the weekend as well, so that could have an influence on how fresh either side is going into this fixture. Gut feeling for this one has me thinking it might end level. Score prediction there, I'm going to go for a 1-1 between those two. But there we have it, guys. Those are all the Championship fixtures coming up for this game week. Do drop your Championship predictions down below. For this second half of the video, we'll now whiz through the FA Cup matches which involve a Championship side. The first FA Cup tie to look forward to involving a Championship side is Bournemouth up against Swansea. Now, Bournemouth I have been impressed with in the Premier League so far. At the start of the season, they were one of my picks for a potential dark horse to improve under Iriola, and they've gone ahead and done just that. See this being quite an open, entertaining game of football. Bournemouth in the FA Cup third round had that 5-goal thriller against QPR, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were quite a few goals in this one as well. Even when the Cherries do make changes, they've got a pretty strong squad, but I'm expecting Swansea to try and go punch for punch for them in this one. Just see Bournemouth having that extra bit of quality. Score prediction, I think I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth in this one. Brom. Next up to Ashton Gate for Bristol City up against Nottingham Forest. And I mean, Bristol City have already showcased they can get past Premier League opposition. They were up for those 2 legs against West Ham and got the job done against them in the end. And I wouldn't be totally surprised to see an upset in this one either. Let's not forget that it took Forest 2 legs and extra time to get past League One Blackpool in the last round, and Bristol City I think will be a much more resilient test than that. Forest also have bigger fish to fry in terms of ensuring their Premier League survival this season, so with Forest maybe having an eye off the ball and Bristol City fancying it, why not? I'll go for an upset in that one. 2-1 Bristol City. Next up we go to Sheffield Wednesday up against Coventry. I'm sure these 2 fan bases are sick of the sight of each other, or at least they will be after this weekend. Having only just played each other in the league, it would be absolutely typical if they played out a draw in this one to then go to a replay and they'll meet each other soon once again. Now in the reverse fixture, well, a few days ago, it was Coventry who had the edge over Wednesday. A 2-1 victory. It was Ben Sheff with the brace in that one. Looks like it'll be another brilliant following from Cov in this game as well. Fair play to all the Cov fans making that trip to Sheff Wednesday again. Expecting a good atmosphere in this game. To be honest, there wasn't that much in it between them last time around. It was just that Coventry were more clinical in taking their chances. The fact they've just met each other and they're playing again is really funny, and I've just got a feeling in the back of my mind this one may end level and go to a replay at Coventry. So with that being said, I'll go for a 1-1er in there here between these 2. After that we head to Portman Road for Ipswich up against Maidstone. Always like these sort of clashes against Championship or Premier League opposition, sometimes against non-league outfits. Maidstone done really well to make it this far in the competition. A brilliant result for them in the FA Cup 3rd round to see off Stevenage 1-0 in that game. That one was at home, and it always is. I feel a lot trickier to go away from home and then still establish that sort of confidence and not sink to the occasion. But I am expecting a competitive game in this one. Now, Ipswich will have a spring in their step after that last-minute equaliser against Leicester, no doubt. It was history repeating itself for the Tractor Boys last time out. Both games against the Foxes have ended level and in very similar circumstances. Sure, Kieran McKenna will make a few tweaks for this one, but I think it is Ipswich who I've got to back for the result. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 3-1 Ipswich. After that we go to an all championship tie at Elland Road for Leeds up against Plymouth. Now Leeds will play in the championship obviously before they have this fixture in the FA Cup, so a few things could change their fate going into this game, perhaps with an injury or something like that. But Leeds Elland Road this season have been ridiculously strong, and they also have the advantage where they do have a deeper squad than Plymouth do. So if both sides are going to make a few tweaks for this FA Cup weekend, it is still Leeds who have the advantage there, having the more resources. But Plymouth, a side who always looks to go punch for punch with you, can see a few goals being scored in this one and an entertaining game for the neutrals. But score prediction, I think it is Leeds who I'm back in there. 3-1 Leeds, I'm going to go for that game. After that we go to the King Power for Leicester up against Birmingham. Perhaps Leicester could have one eye on that upcoming midweek fixture against Swansea, but I mean they are in a position where they are 7 points clear at the top of the championship, and I think it's worthy of having a decent role of it in the FA Cup this year. This game's certainly no guarantee though. Blues gave them a good run for their money in the reverse fixture in the league earlier in December. Leicester were just so good and ruthless on transitions that they managed to cut through Blues, but Tony Mowbray's managed to get a bit of a tune out of that squad recently. It was a good win for them last time out against Stoke. With that being said, I think it is Leicester who I'm just edging in this one for a 2-1 victory. Very much looking forward to this one. It's West Brom going up against Wolves. The last time these two sides met, I think, was during the COVID season, so had to be played behind closed doors. So now we're going to get to see and experience properly what this rivalry is like, with all the fans packed in there to the stadium. And you know what? I'm expecting an entertaining game here. Wolves I've been really impressed with in the Premier League so far this season. Somewhat of a surprise package actually, I think, by how good they've been under Gary O'Neill and how watchable they've been at times as well. The Baggies will have a trick or two up their sleeve. It was a disappointing result for them last time out in the Championship, but I mean, you put that to the back of your mind when you're going into an FA Cup clash against your local rivals, don't you? It took Wolves an FA Cup replay to get past Brentford. I'd like to see this one one going to a replay back at Molineux as well. Score prediction, I'll go for a 2-2 draw there, and a feisty one at that. Next up we got Watford up against Southampton. Always tough to call these all championship ties because you never quite know how strong each side is going to go for this. We obviously spoke about Watford earlier in the video and the good run of form they're on at the moment. They've got this game against Southampton, then the midweek clash against Sheffield Wednesday, so it'll be interesting to see which one Ishmael prioritises. It's going to be a quicker turnaround for Watford than it is for Southampton in terms of the next league fixture, so maybe that gives the Saints a bit of an extra edge to go for this one a little bit more. Earlier in the season though, when Southampton did come to Watford, Watford gave them a really good run for the money and it ended level. Score prediction, I think the Saints could just edge it, but it's going to be close. 2-1 Southampton, I'm saying. Looking forward to this one at Anfield. It's Liverpool going up against Norwich, and realistically this game is a bit of a free hit for Norwich, isn't it? I think Liverpool have won their last 7 encounters against the Canaries, which you would expect. Even with Liverpool probably making a few changes for this fixture, they're still going to be the overwhelming favourite, and with the Anfield crowd roaring them on as well, an upset in that tie would surprise me a bit. Score prediction, I'm going to go 3-0 Liverpool. Sorry Norwich fans. Then the last FA Cup tie we have to preview in today's video is Blackburn going up against Wrexham, and I mean Wrexham love a run in the FA Cup, don't they? I know they're not everyone's cup of tea right now, but with how badly out of form Blackburn have been of late, it just feels like the perfect opportunity for Wrexham to capitalise on it. I have a feeling there's going to be goals in this fixture. There tends to be with both Blackburn and Wrexham of late. Score prediction for this game, I'm going to go 3-2 Wrexham, which would compile the misery on Rovers. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Obviously those FA Cup predictions were just for a little bit of fun, but plenty of football coming up over this next week or so to look forward to. And as always, make sure to get your thoughts in the comments down below. Other than that though guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.